All right, boys, we're back for part two of King's Court today. Had to take a quick little intermission here. Dylan, I'm not gonna lie, you had me fired up there talking about Josh Downs, dude.
You know, it's bad when during the intermission you're texting me about it, being like, dude.
He's like, I texted Dylan during the intermission. I'm like, I think you got me fired up about Josh Downs. I just believe in him, dude. I really do. I have for a while, and I think he's a player that's on the rise for sure.
You're not
Just
getting a first for him. You're not getting a first for
I'm
him.
not looking to trade him right now, if I'm being honest. Um, but speaking of trade, what I want to say in the direction of my team, um, I'm gonna absolutely fight for a playoff spot. I don't belong at the bottom of the league. I'm hitting a lot of you guys up looking to trade. For those that I've reached out to, I'm looking to make moves. I'm looking to trade picks. I'm looking for good talent. So I think just to play a little bit of spoiler, and tease the next King Court, which will probably be the trade deadline special. Boys, I think the trade deadline is going to be electric this year.
I second that. I think a lot of teams are realizing that they can make a move. And I don't think there's too many teams that are like already kind of mailing it in yet. But I think,
No, too early.
but come trade deadline time, I think some teams will kind of realize their spot in the standings and make some kind of bold moves to either try to rebuild or sell or what, however you want to word it. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see what the future holds here for me, but I'm looking to climb the ladder for sure, boys. Then AK will finish off with him with the recap of what we've seen so far. I mean, there's just no points here with AK, and I think that's what his issue is. Is he the lowest scoring? He's the lowest scoring team in the league, so I'm not too far behind, but he is the lowest.
Only 4 points at
Yeah.
minimum.
He
Yeah,
takes
talk
the
about
cake
not
though.
scoring, going
Talk,
from I'm a playoff team to
yeah, talk about
second to
AK's
last in
team and
points
how
scored.
he's in last place, please.
Can you scroll down for a second? What's his quarterback situation? It's pretty bleak, right? Yeah,
It's
Rodgers and Fields.
Rodgers and Fields. It is the worst quarterback situation in the league.
I would second that, but I would also say it's by far the worst running back situation. Even with Jonathan Taylor, it's just there's no RB2 that I like. I mean, Tracy's okay, but I don't see.
Tracy is maybe. Let's
But I
talk
don't.
about what he just did, huh?
But they also just gave Singletary a 3-year deal with worth decent money, so I don't see Singletary just going away. I think it was a classic, like 1 week boom.
Diamond in the
But
rough, maybe.
yeah, and so that doesn't do much for me. Antonio Gibson, I think we all know who he is, especially
Yeah.
on the New England offense. It's that he does nothing for me.
I
Uh,
mean, think about it. Ramondre, they said Ramondre got, he lost the starting job, but he didn't play the first drive, and then Gibson didn't go in.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, good point.
47%.
Yeah, so he wasn't in that much. But
Yeah, Gibson's one of those low ceiling and low floor guys that you just dread to start because you just have to pray.
Yep. Also, the thing about AK's, just quick revisit of a famous trade that doesn't get talked about enough. Dalvin Cook, what he's doing for Jamison Williams, I think AK, and it is confirmed. Me and Matt actually went to go visit him a couple weeks ago. He regrets this move big time.
it
I
does.
think he got a little taste of the horny bug, as
Especially living in New York and now cheering for New York. He's
The
a
New York
pseudo Jets
AKs.
fan, the New York AKs. Some Packer fan he is. But yeah, he fell in love last training camp and paid the price, I think.
yeah, I agree.
But I mean, look at those, scroll down to his picks. Look what he's got coming in for next year's draft. I mean, those
Yeah,
are going to be two good picks.
Yeah,
yeah. This coming year, his own and Jordan's, those are two top five picks that AK has, and he knows it.
and I think his team desperately needs they just have to hit.
Two running backs immediately. Like I'm already calling it. It's the easiest call of all time.
Yeah,
Quick disappointing player. What did you guys think about Zamir White coming into the year versus where he is now?
got him in 4 of my 7 leagues, and I hate him. Absolutely hate him. He can't run. He doesn't know how to hit a hole. He runs like he's in mud, and I think Madison's been better than him. So he needs to start picking it up anytime. Like he needs
Those
to
yards
start
per
picking it
are
up soon.
gross.
Yeah, he just huge disappointment because I was big on him. I thought he was going to take that leap. Go to the end of last year, Hugo, to see what his stats were. He boomed the
Complete
last like 4 weeks.
180.
It's like boom. I mean, not nothing outrageous, but look at this like decent stats,
Yep.
especially given that he only had one touchdown. So he had a lot of promise coming into this year, and he's just totally flubbed so far.
Yep. I agree. So that's what AK is working with there. So that's the standings right there, boys. Oh, and also shout out to the chat here on the side. They're talking about King's Court as we are recording.
Should we ruin it
So
right now and just say yeah?
yeah, seriously, give them a little surprise there, Matt. Tell them the podcast says what's up. That'll be way too funny. I thought that would during intermission we were looking at it and it was great. So now that's enough about a recap. Let's talk about where this league is going, and where we see it in a couple weeks. But mostly this coming week coming up. So let's get to the current week, week 6. Um, what do we think here, boys? Anything jump out the page at you between any matchups? Let's talk about the surprising team. Who's been your most surprising team, Matt? We'll start with you, and then we'll jump a little bit into the matchup coming up.
I'm gonna say Ivy. I think preseason rankings had him. Are you going to his team?
Yep, and then he's
Had
playing
him.
Diego this week, so we could talk
Yeah.
about this.
So, his running backs aren't as good as his receivers, but I mean he's getting by, they're doing what they need to do. Caleb Williams has had a couple good games. So I mean, 4-1, I mean, people thought he was gonna be closer to the bottom of the league.
Yeah,
And so I mean right now his team is playing pretty well. And on
yeah,
top of it, even if things don't go well, he's got 2 firsts and 2 seconds next year.
yep.
So I mean, it's a pretty
I,
good spot to be in.
I think right now too, he's got the fantasy like MVP in my opinion, which is Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's keeping his team afloat. He's putting up just monster points.
Look at that. Running back 8 on Carolina, and they're garbage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's just getting touches through the roof. He's scoring touchdowns. Like Chuba Hubbard had no business doing what he's been doing so far. So that's I think a huge like reason why he's been 4-1 so far.
Yeah, this is my wet dream and what I envision Jonathan Brooks to be once he's like fully healthy for Carolina and takes that lead role. Just these consistent monster weeks. Chuba Hubbard is a great surprise player as well, like what you guys are saying. Been a revelation for Alex. I actually was talking with him earlier today. I chatted around the league. I wanted some intel on all the teams so that when we recorded this today, I could be like, this is what they're saying. Insider sources, blah, blah, blah. And from my talks with Alex, he is very excited that he's 4-1. He's very happy, but he does acknowledge that his running back situation does need to be better and that Chuba Hubbard has been carrying him a little bit. Which he's very thankful for, and he loves his wide receivers, which why would you not? DK and CD have been pretty good. So Tank Dell a little disappointing this year, but with Nico out the next couple of weeks, I think he'll be fine, right, Dylan?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's probably still coming off of what he was like shot in his leg, right? So I think that
Yeah.
he's probably still just kind of just getting his legs under him, no pun intended, to get himself going. So I think that he'll come mid-season and on, he'll be fine.
Yep. Matt, that was a great surprise team with Alex because I definitely agree with you. Looking like the matchup of the week, him versus Diego, 2-4-1 teams getting after it. Dylan, any surprise team for you?
I was gonna say Alex as well. I think his team is overachieving given what he's got for talent. But also on the flip side too, I think that the fact that he's 4-1 with guys that have promise that haven't done anything, like Dell, like Kyle Pitts. It kind of does show that he's going to be floating around. He's going to be one of those teams that will make you nervous come towards the end of the season playoff time because his team could all click at the same time and drop just a bomb on you.
Yep, totally agree. It's unanimous. All our surprise team. Now for the most disappointing team, who are you guys throwing out there? Because for me, it is Vinny. I don't know what you guys think about that. Even though he's 2-3, I thought his team would be a little bit better, especially with the disappointing that Brees Hall has been and Christian Chirk really hasn't done too much. He's come along, but he started off the first 2 weeks just a quick rundown of Vinny's team. Do you agree with me there?
That was my pick as well. I think it relates to what we were talking about earlier with Brees Hall. I think he's got to be very bummed in Brees Hall. His like second like RB2 situation is not the greatest. I don't love Zach Moss, and I think Chase Brown's going to really start to carry that
Yeah,
Bengals
lead the offense.
more. Yeah, so I think he's going to be kind of scrambling in that RB2 zone.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper as his flex does nothing really for me either. Like he can have that 30-point game, then he'll follow that up with a 3-point game, especially with Deshaun Watson throwing the ball. Don't even get me started. So
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that guy here.
yeah. So there's some huge like prizes on his team. You're looking right at one of them. That's also
I'm staring it right at it. Like this is his elephant in the room here on his team. I do hate to see this because I am a giant Laporta fan, like giant fan. But this is not getting it done, and it's tough to win right now. And he should turn it around, and I know he will, right?
He should. I think I don't see Goff all of a sudden magically like not like just moving on from him in the offense. If you look, he's on the field. Look at the snap percentage. He's on the field.
Yeah,
I am surprised
that 2 and 3 in target. The targets is what's scary.
He doesn't play for the Giants, so he's gonna get looks.
He had an injury in the offseason, didn't he?
He had remember his knee at like in the playoffs? It was his knee.
Yeah,
if I remember.
I think he was dealing with something. I forget, and maybe somebody can post this when we post this video, post it in the chat. But
yeah,
I feel like he was dealing with something near week 1 or like in week 1 that hurt him. There's something going on, so I still question if that's affecting him at all. But
yeah, Vinny will definitely be reaching out to you in the chat tomorrow, Dylan, after he watches this. I can definitely guarantee you.
Give us the insight, Vinny, and if you want to trade him, you know where to find
me. I think everyone would love that guy. So Matt, who did you have as like your surprise that they're not doing too well?
Honestly, I had Ricky or Marty's team. It's kind of a toss up. I thought their teams would be a lot better than obviously, injuries.
Yeah, especially with Ricky.
They're some of their star players, so it's kind of tough. But I think that's really kind of where I went with it.
Yeah.
I just thought both of them would have been a little higher.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill just hasn't been putting up numbers because of the situation. So
yeah, that's
tough there. All right. So we can move on just quickly on some of these matchups coming up this week. Me versus Joka. Who do you guys see taking that? It's projected to be close, but
you're getting stomped.
I'm gonna count it. I think honestly, Hugo, I think you're gonna win this week. I don't know why. I don't usually feel
I think so too.
Team, but there's something about your team that I think is just you're due for like a random 140-point week, and then you're gonna follow it up with an absolute like crap down your leg. But it's gonna happen eventually, and I feel like this week's one of those weeks. I think Downs is gonna go off. I think he's gonna exceed the 10-point projection. I like Wandale. So
you want to see a target machine? Look at this guy.
Yeah,
14 targets is crazy.
Especially if Neighbors is out again. I think that you got 2 guys that become the number ones that are just going to be loaded with targets, and they're like those like pesky underneath throws, but they're fast, so they can get
fast and shifty and yak, baby.
Yak is real. Oh, they're gonna go. Yeah, so I think your team's gonna yak all over Brian.
Yeah. So I like my chances this week against Brian too. Even though he's projected 3 more points, I think it's gonna be a rock fight this week between us.
You can skip over the next one because Dumont's getting slapped.
Oh, I love it, Coolest. I love it. F you, Dumont. You deserve that. You 1-4, freaking lifeless, almost lifeless team. So Matt, I think you should crush Dumont as well. Your guys have better weeks than his, and you win easily. That's what I got to say there. I think the one place he does have you beat by significant margin is the tight end situation, though.
Oh yeah, I mean McBride's awesome, but my tight end's a hit or miss.
I think Hunter Henry has more points than McBride right now though for the year, doesn't he?
Tight end 18 versus tight end 10, not quite.
But no, so though I don't always agree with those player rankings because McBride missed a week, and then he's also only got 1 week where he had 16 points. Everything else has been below 10. Hunter Henry. So I question that ranking accuracy sometimes, but either way, I think it's going to be closer than you think. McBride hasn't impressed me yet.
Yep.
I just think
So
my receivers are on another level right now.
yeah,
So
especially Chase. It's
Oh,
tough not to love him right now.
I expect Matt to win by 40.
I love it. Uh, this is a what do we got here kind of matchup because it is closer than I would think between these two teams. But hey, it's a case of the bye weeks, right? So 1-4 Jordan, the vegetarian himself, against Marty Dispenza. What do we see here, boys?
I
I-
think I don't know. It's tough.
It's a
I
gross
hate
match.
Will Levis. I hate him.
This is gonna be one of those like
Yeah.
75 to 77 matchups where it's just like, oh god.
Hey, you know
Like
what? I'm gonna go with Jordan. He was the third highest scoring team last week, but he played me, so it's kind of tough. He put up stats. He was
He
like
put up
136, I
numbies,
think it was.
bro.
So I mean, hey, I think he's gonna do it again.
and I'll support you, Matt. I think he's gonna take it. I think Marty's team is just underwhelming, and I think it's gonna continue to slide a little bit.
Yeah,
But if guys come back healthy, Marty's team could be an issue if he gets to hang around and survive the injury bug.
Any team though that's starting Will Levis is just
You're in a tough spot.
not a team I'm picking. So I'll leave it at that.
yeah. This is an interesting matchup here. Just because the underdog is projected to beat the guy with the better record. Ricky versus Vinny. I think Vinny could pull this matchup off just because Ricky is still collecting himself with all his injuries. So are we sensing upset here, boys?
Oh yeah, I Vinny's gonna
Yeah.
take this one.
Yep. So sorry, Ricky. I hope your slide doesn't continue, dude. Call me about like our trade,
It's
please.
just so tough when you have to put, Tyreek Hill's not really putting up stats and you need him to.
Yeah. Real quick, just because we're kind of recapping a little bit. Um, Shakir, what do you guys think about Shakir? Are you guys still down on him? Because going into the offseason, people like didn't see his potential.
Oh no, I love him. I think he's doing what I thought he would do in that offense. I think he's only gonna get better. Honestly, I think Allen's
This
starting to trust him more.
exactly the snap share and the targets, Dylan. I think this is a player on the rise still.
Yeah, because I think Keon Coleman being a rookie, you can tell that he just does not trust Keon Coleman yet.
Yep.
See, I thought that's a surprise for me too. I thought he would, get a little more targets, but it's just not there right now.
For
So,
Keon Coleman, that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But also, that whole offense has just been funky this year. Because if you
It
go up to
hasn't been great.
Kincaid really has been very underwhelming for, I think, the hype that he had in the offseason, given that he was expected, I think, to be the number one target guy on that offense.
Yep.
So
And I'll throw a couple numbers at you guys that I heard over the weekend, just offensive stats and stuff like that. The three slowest tempo teams in the NFL are as follows, and you'd be surprised at the third lowest. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're just a slow offense that's just going to grind you out. Um, and then the Buffalo Bills are the second slowest offense based off like snaps and tempo, stuff like that. Which goes to show that the team really isn't getting down the field, putting up a lot of points like you expected Josh Allen led team. And then the team that's going to put you to sleep and it's the most boring watch is the LA Chargers. And that's just Jim Harbaugh, baby.
Yeah. Run it, run it, run it.
Run it, run it, run it. Just grind it out. Again, quick preview on Diego versus IB. I think matchup of the week here, boys.
Yeah, I agree.
Coolest. What are you thinking here?
I think it's gonna be pretty close matchup, but I don't know. I'm gonna ride the hot hand. He's my surprise team, so I'm gonna go with the Ivy this week.
All right. I think Dylan, that 1-2 punch is gonna hit hard here.
I'm not. I've learned I'm not going against your brother. Diego's going to take this one. That after Joe Flacco single handedly cost me $1,200. I still cry about that at night.
He's the champ right now until someone wins this year. So
Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So Diego, I think you're gonna take that one as well. And then could this get funky here, boys? With a big week from Justin Fields, because I don't think the Vegas Raider defense is great. Is stick on upset alert back-to-back weeks?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No chance. No chance. This is he's going 5-1. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, he's gonna. It might be a little struggle, but he's gonna win, I
Yeah,
think.
Saquon coming back, Montgomery coming back. Stick is going to put up a lineup, except for the two flex spots. Again, questionable. This is where AK has a chance.
I think so. Because I don't think Neighbors is going to end up playing, especially if he didn't practice today, just with
Yeah.
his concussion. But I think his top four players could potentially outscore um, AK's entire team.
Yeah. I
Seriously.
fully agree. I fully agree. So sorry, AK, but yeah, Stick is going to get back on his winning ways here. Um,
You went over
boys.
me and Maddie's matchup too.
Oh, did I
In the
apologize?
middle.
Right in the middle. Wow, this one, you know what, Dylan?
So
I
It's a
am sorry.
it's a juggernaut of a matchup with the projections.
Yep. Matt, what were you saying?
So I think Dylan has it, but it's close because I think Bijan against Carolina is a great matchup to have a game. I think when you're
Yeah.
facing
Yeah.
Carolina, you're gonna put up stats. So I mean, if there's a game to do it, it's this one.
That's a situation I honestly pray that it just gets out of hand fast and then they just
Yeah.
ride Algier. I think Algier's getting more snaps and I could see him potentially out like carrying Bijan if the game goes out of hand. So I almost have to kind of pray for that. But yeah.
And I think it's going to be super tight. Um,
He has one player on his team too that just every time I face him goes off and it's Cortland Sutton. And I cannot stand Cortland Sutton. I hate that guy. Can't
that's
stand
a
him.
fun little fact.
I think everybody has that one fantasy player that is just their kryptonite, and
My,
that's Cortland Sutton for me.
mine is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Every time I see Lamar Jackson, it's 50, 60 points.
Yeah.
And that's real life in another
So
league.
if you boys are looking to bet, I would say bet the over on Sutton's receiving line and definitely say anytime touchdown. Parlay those two and just give me 5% of your winnings.
You know, there is times, Dylan, in the past where I've gone up against someone and it's like a Sunday night football, and we both have like one last player that we need, where I'll bet the anytime touchdown of the opponent because I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. It's a given he's going to score.
Oh yeah, and hedge yourself that way. Oh, they scored. You will win some money, and if they don't, then you win your matchup. It's you go to bed happy either way.
It's a win-win.
I do that multiple times every Sunday.
Yes, for sure. Real quick, I want to talk about a disappointing player. You weren't going to get away with this, Dylan. George Pickens, what the hell is going on there?
I love this trade. His targets are fine. He's had at least 7 targets in 4 of the 5 games, and that's in an offense right now that is very run heavy. I think if Russ starts over Fields at some point, his target share goes up more. And honestly, I think that as Fields gets more comfortable in that offense, Pickens is going to be fine. There's no in that offense. He's the clear number one. He's only 23. He doesn't even have a touchdown yet. So if he starts putting up a couple touchdowns on the board, his points are going to go up. So I've been fine with him so far. It's one of those ones that it was either him or Jerry Jeudy. I'll take Pickens all day.
Oh, Pickens, yeah.
And I don't feel like I gave up that much. I did give up a first, but I also got a second back, and I gave up Johnston, which Johnston, I think I sold him at the right time. He just does nothing for me.
Yeah, he's an enigma. You flipped him at a good time. I agree with you.
You look at most dynasty rankings too. Pickens is in the top 20 for wide receivers, like across the board, and Quentin Johnston's like bottom, like below 50. So,
yep. I want to talk about some injuries and a guy that has been healthy so far. Talk to me about J.K. Dobbins. Will this last, Dylan?
Do you want me to go over like the injuries or just how he's doing so far?
Just like because of his injury, do you believe like he can like stay consistent? Like what I see with my eyes, whenever there's like a breakaway lane, he does not have that juice to break away.
So I think it was against Carolina where he broke.
You know the video I'm talking about.
Yeah, like literally he hit the whole
lip leg,
and then every single defender on Carolina caught him. It's just he can hit it fast, but that like 70-yard sprint ability is just not there. And truthfully, with those nasty soft tissue injuries that he's had and like major surgeries, it's not going to come back. So I think what you're going to find is as the year progresses, they're going to have to scale him back because he's gonna get hit too much. His body's not going to be able to keep up with the demand of the sport come like weeks 12, 13, 14, truthfully, when you need them.
Yep. Matt, you let him go this offseason.
I did. I mean, it's tough.
You're not mad or happy. Where are you?
Yeah, I mean, if he comes back, good for him. You know, I don't want to wish that his career's over, but It's
No
just
ill
tough. I
will.
mean, the last 2 years he couldn't walk, so it's
Yeah.
tough. I mean, he's back, so obviously he had first 2 games were pretty good, but if you look at who they're playing, the teams, some of the worst ranked teams, he had better games than the last few weeks. It's went the
Yeah.
complete other way. So
The one thing that helps him is his situation, just being on that Chargers team, because either
yeah,
way they're going to run
they
the
have
ball.
no one else. They got who do they have on that team?
They have Gus Bus, but I don't. He Edwards does nothing for me.
Yeah. I want to talk about some quick injuries too. Talk to me about Pacheco. I think he'll be fine, and Kareem Hunt and Steele are gonna be like back of the line once Pacheco comes back, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. So let me recap myself real quick here.
Yeah,
Pacheco had a fibula fracture, right?
yep,
So yeah,
and
fibula fracture. The fibula is not even a weight bearing bone, so he's got to have some hardware put in there just to stabilize the bone. But he'll come back fine. The only concern I have is that I believe Mark Andrews also had a fibular fracture, and we've kind of seen how he's looked this year. Obviously, a different position, and Pacheco's much younger.
yep.
But I think Pacheco will be fine. Those fibular injuries don't really concern me too much.
There you go. Next player, real quick, injured. Dylan, how do you feel about AJ Brown?
Scared.
The hamstrings, that's tough. One
Once
small little move could be on
especially with
IR
wide
against them.
receivers that are so fast twitch dependent, like getting off the line, beating their defender, right? Like you're putting such power through your legs to get that breakaway or to try to like run your route that once you have a hamstring injury, it just concerns me now and long term. And there's been so many hamstring injuries across the league so far that I keep my fingers crossed, but I'm nervous that it's going to be one of those. You hear Scott Hansen on Red Zone say, "Oh no, AJ Brown is heading to the locker room" as he's gimping off. It's like, oh crap, here we go again.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a little more belief than you, Dylan. Just
Yeah, you need to because your team's trash.
wow, F you, Matt.
Sorry,
As
the
a
Pats suck, so
gigantic Eagles fan, it is I need him back on the field so bad. Jalen Hurts just is not the same quarterback without him, clearly. So I hope his hamstring's okay. And best example that you could say right now about just moving too fast for those muscles, Nico Collins going down this week. So
Yeah, which Nico's is clearly a more significant tear than AJ's just because they already put him on the IR. So I'm
yes.
assuming his MRI definitely showed, I'd say, at least a grade 2, which usually carries about a 6 to 8 week recovery time. So they
Yep.
probably saw that and said, you know what, we're putting you on the IR and we're gonna reassess in 4 weeks and see how you're doing. Where I'm assuming with AJ Brown's is probably just a grade 1 that carried a couple of weeks and now he's recovered and ready to roll. So yeah.
Yeah. Going to Sticks team real quick. Cooper Cup coming back after the bye week this week is the news on him. He's coming back from a is it ankle injury. So he had a high ankle sprain. I think he's gonna be fine.
21 targets the first game.
Yeah. I think
That's
he's gonna be
crazy.
super fine. Matt, are you a Cooper Cup guy?
I mean, he's definitely have good seasons. I don't know. It just feels like the last few years he's been a little more hurt. So, I mean, he's getting older, so we'll see. But I mean, when he's on, he's gonna be he could be a top receiver. So
Yep.
He's one of those guys that makes me nervous that will he be there when you need him?
yeah.
And he's got so many soft tissue injuries too that I mean, when he's on, but I wouldn't hold my breath on him.
Tavon Achan, concussions. You scared about this guy, Dylan?
He
I think that
fenced.
whole offense without Tua just not good.
If you see the video, he literally his hands fenced in a different manner than Tua's did, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, like he got like clocked. So
He got hit hard.
I mean, he'll bounce back like Tua did the first time, right? But now it's like you take another hit, who knows? Those concussions can add up. So I think he'll be fine and rolling, but he's just now he's kind of a ticking time bomb too.
Yep. So just because we're on Sticks team, and we talked about a great young rookie in Brian Thomas Jr. Malik Neighbors is insane.
He was my for impact rookies. Like he's probably my surprise player as the best. He's first in receptions, sixth in touchdowns, and seventh in yards. So I
Oh,
mean that's crazy.
and look at
Like,
those.
I
Look at
mean,
week 100% snap share as a
yeah,
rookie. It's insanity.
crazy.
This guy is not getting off the field.
No.
No, and
And
they just Dan Joe just throws to him when he plays the whole time. So
yeah,
I mean, look at that 18, 12, 15, 7 his first game. His first game he got 7 targets.
Yeah.
It's
It's crazy. My top three impact rookies so far, from what I like to see on the field, Neighbors clearly one, Brock Bowers number two for me, and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the craziest thing of all is this is with Daniel Jones throwing him the ball. Like, digest that. Imagine if it was,
Imagine a quarterback.
yeah, imagine if it was a top 10 quarterback throwing him the ball. Oh my God. If I'm Stick, I'm he's about as untradeable as any player I think in the league.
Yes, 1,000% agree. Um, and just because we didn't get to him, we talked about it a little bit.
we got
Um,
8 minutes remaining. Just a heads
all
up.
right, thank you, thank you. Rasheed Rice, devastating, Dylan.
You know, it could have been
LCL.
worse though. It's supposedly his meniscus and his ACL is intact, and that's awesome for his long term. LCL injuries are a little bit more unique because you don't see it as much, but realistically, I think he'll bounce back and be fine. Especially where everything else structurally it sounds like was sound. So I think Ricky's got to be thankful. I mean, he'll be out for the year because I think they did a hamstring. They repaired his hamstring too when they went in. They probably saw the hamstring tendon was kind of floating around, which is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world per se either. So I think Rashid will have a full training camp next year and he'll be ready to roll.
Nice. I like it. I like the outlook. All right. So we'll start closing it up here, boys. I want to talk about I asked you guys, hey, what else do we want to talk about today? And you guys both said, hey, even though we're just starting, like playoffs, we could start thinking about that and what teams shape up. So just again, it's early, but Dylan and Matt, there's some teams in here that are currently in the playoffs that may slide out of the playoffs. Do you see any teams like that?
I think just because of injuries, maybe Ricky's right now.
Yep. He's
And I think, I mean,
being
Matt's
at
three
number
and two, but
seven.
I think eventually, I think Bijan's going to have consecutive good games. When you get closer to the end, like the top teams that are scoring, you need to be able to beat them. And if guys just keep having, weeks where they're not really putting up too much, but it could also go the other way when his team just dominates. So
Yep. So you
I'd say from this right now,
of the top eight, you're thinking
I'd say
Ricky?
probably Ricky just because of injuries and Tua is not back yet. So once Tua comes back and you get some guys back, like that could change.
Yep. Dylan?
I'm gonna go with Alex just because his points force are so much lower than the rest that I just think he's over.
492. Yeah.
Yeah, he's overachieving and he's due for some regression. So I think that realistically, could you scroll down just to see 9 and 10?
Yep.
Like I can easily see Vinny leaping up there for sure. I don't see Vinny missing the playoffs. Even Marty, I think, could potentially kind of sneak in the back door on that eight seed. So somebody's got to slide out. I think Ricky's got enough talent to keep him afloat in that 6 to 8 range. Same with Matt. Same with Brian. So I think if anybody, it's going to be Alex.
Okay. So, and I know you got into it a little bit, Dylan, just guys that are outside looking in, just because they're the 9 and 10 seed, or you just truly do believe it would be Vinny and Marty?
So I think Vinny's going to finish as a either 4 or 5 seed. I don't think he's just going to slide in. I think he's gonna stomp down and say I am a team you should be nervous about. I think he's got too much talent that's underperforming right now, and he's still right on that playoff bubble. So if Hall and the Porter, for example, if they both start to cook a little bit,
Yeah.
then I mean his team just gets that much better. Even Christian Kirk, if you look at Kirk's stats, he had a rough couple of weeks, but he's starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think Christian Kirk too is another guy that's got that very, very high floor for him that you want, especially in this league where if you have a flex player that drops 4 points for you, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So
Matt, who do you see on the outside that could make some noise possibly?
I agree with Vinny's team. I think, right now they're just not performing like they should be. I think his team's way better than the
Yep.
9 seed. So I would agree with Vinny.
All right. I'm just gonna give myself some love and just literally declare that I am fighting for playoffs. So I'm not looking to be in the
You're
back,
in,
like I said.
look at the points for. You're right above it. You're not
Yeah,
fighting for
I
nothing.
am, but it's because I'm
You're
getting
fighting to see which
healthier.
draft pick Jordan gets next year.
I'm gonna get healthier and I'm gonna put up points.
keep your team
I'm
up there with the 5 minutes we have left. Let's make a on the
get out of
spot
here.
Kings Court trade. You want to compete Michael Pittman's done for the majority of the year now. I'll give you Jerry Jeudy in 2 seconds. What do you say?
Nothing. I'm not trading him. I'm not trading him.
Wow.
Get
Give the
good.
people
Pull
what
up the
they want. They
team.
want
He's
to see it.
trading.
They want to see a trade. They want to see
Yeah, pull up the team.
Get
Yep.
out of here. That was a good fucking surprise there. But yeah, we got 3 minutes left here, boys. Anything in closing that you want to say to the league? Call anyone out. Just gloat. Feel free. Floor's yours. Dylan, you want to start? Give yourself a minute and a half here,
Yeah,
possibly.
I love this league. I'm in 7 leagues, and this one is just the one that consumes all my thoughts and all my dreams. It just is such a fun league. I love the 14 teams. I love the interactions and how active everybody is. So it is a lot of fun. And it also helps that I'm sitting on the top right now. So I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
I love it, Dylan. Matt?
Yeah, I love this league. You know, obviously, this is my first year or second year doing Dynasty, but it's way better than redraft. Every day, every time I would choose Dynasty. But you know, right now, competitive. You got the top couple seeds. Right where they should be. But then
Yep.
after that, like we've been saying in the rankings, 5 to 9, maybe 10. Like anything can happen for those teams. So
Yep, I agree.
and then
I
I think
think,
just the bottom four teams are gross right now.
yeah, they have the
That
four
includes you,
worst
Hugo.
records,
That
but
includes you.
that's fine.
But
I'm only
hey,
a game
Definition
behind a
of giving me
playoff
the
spot.
hey,
runs.
what was
That's
my
the
I
motivation I
think,
need.
I was one of the teams where, the preseason ranking was 10, but like you said, like any one of those teams can score one week. Some
Yeah,
weeks are tough, but if your team puts up points, you're right there. So I
yeah.
think, I think I'll make playoffs this year.
I like it, Matt. What I'll say in conclusion here, I think the top three teams are definitely going to stay up in the top three all season long.
Yeah, right where
Those
they should
guys aren't
be.
going to be moving with Diego, Dylan, and Stick. Those guys are going to be fighting for the top. I think six playoff spots are for sure locks. The seven and the eighth seed are going to be absolute wars.
Yep.
This is
Who
going
are
to
your
be a
playoff
very
teams?
tight league going into playoffs. We'll talk more about it there, but I just want to say thank you to you guys. You guys stepped up and wanted to come on and do this, so thank you for that. It wasn't hard trying to get people to do it. I'm glad you guys did it and had fun with this.
Yeah, dude, this is sweet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Fuck yeah, boys. So we'll leave it at that. That's King's Court. Again, not another one until the trade deadline. And boys, I think we're gonna see fireworks this deadline. You
Dumont
guys
going
think so?
down this week. You heard it here first.
All
Going
right.
down.
Dumont going down, and so is Matty Daddy, right? So,
All right, boys.
all right. Good
Hey,
talking. I will see you guys later. King's Court, baby. Shout out.
so, see you guys.
See ya.